welcome, guys. I love seeing the intro every time, but welcome to One Mic Media, and we are back. I was just here yesterday with you guys talking about Power Book 2 Ghost. I'm back again with a different crew this time to discuss the highly popular HBO Max show House of the Dragon, the spinoff for Game of Thrones. We didn't make the opening week last week, but we are here to discuss episode 2 and keep discussing every week beyond because every week it has a lot of drama. Of course, if you remember, the last season was a couple of years ago, but I did discuss this and I got to bring them back. My favorite couple ever. Always give me the best insight. Let's start with my girl who always got a lot of thoughts and opinions, Chloe Diz. What's up, Chloe?
What's up?
Hey, hey,
House of
hey.
Dragon, we're back, baby.
We're back. We're back. And the guy who started the Black Fire Rebellion himself, my man, Josh. What's going on, Josh?
Hey, what's up, everybody? Happy to be here. Excited to talk about this show.
I see with your name, Josh. I guess you started getting more insight of the lore of the Game of Thrones. So I'm happy to see that stuff like that. So,
Oh yes, I'm not a scribe of Westeros like yourself and Sam at the Citadel, right? I didn't read the books, but I know a little something about the Blackfire and the Golden Company.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I seen somebody's channel. They was doing a review, and you could get like personalized banners with like your own sigil that you can send in. I'm gonna try to find that. Right. Ain't that dope? So I'm gonna try to find that and get like one hanging behind me or something like that. So, but I think it's pretty cool. But anyway, House of the Dragon season 2 is back. Chloe, I know talking to you, you said before you might have had to go back and catch up on season 1, but how you feeling about this season? Are you caught up? Are you good? Like, are you confused? How you feeling so far?
So I'm gonna say I watched Double Toasted.
Oh, the Black
Their
Dudes.
review, yeah, the Black
Yeah.
Dudes, they review channel, and it was so funny because as soon as episode 1 came out, I was like, I gotta see what they had to say about it.
Mhm.
So old boy Corey
Mhm.
gonna come on and say, and I think it was like a title, it was like, it was so gory, blah blah blah. And then he was like, I only have one gripe with the show. He's like, I didn't remember anything.
Right.
he's like, I started watching it and I was so lost, and I was like, yo, if that's not the most accurate depiction of this season, I don't know what is. Because I was watching it the first time me and Josh sat and watched it, I was like, I don't remember who's married to whose
Oh
son,
my
whose
God.
daughter, what, like I knew the main characters, like I knew Rhaenyra and
Allison.
it and Allison, and I knew Damon,
Right.
but
Right.
I completely forgot the dynamics of
What
the
happened? Yeah.
children, like who was the cousin, the auntie. I
Right.
remember
Right.
what happened as far
Okay.
as her son getting chomped up and eaten by the
Right.
dragon. I remember that part, but everything else, like all the intricacies of the whole season, I
Right.
completely did not remember. So we went to bed. We didn't finish watching it that night. The
Mhm.
next day, while Josh was at work, I like binged watched
Oh,
like
did
the
you?
last the last 4 episodes
Okay.
because I was like, it's all I really need to know.
Right.
And
Right.
then when he got home that night, we rewatched it, and I was
Okay.
like, oh,
Oh.
okay.
So it
So
helps
it
you
was,
catch up. Okay.
yeah. So I would say that's my biggest gripe about it is that I didn't remember. It's too many details to be remembering after what it's been, what, a year, 2 years,
But 2 years. Yeah.
2 years. Like, how did they expect anybody to remember that after 2 years? I don't know. They should have said y'all got to rewatch before y'all even
Beforehand.
attempt. Cause even the little beforehand they do the little flashback
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
meant nothing to me.
Yeah. It's a lot of characters, and it's a lot of new characters from the first season that and it's a brand new story. So
Yes.
it's yeah, new camera alert. I like this camera too. It's pretty good. So I'm in 4K now, so pretty good. But yeah, it's a lot, but it's a great story. So before I get to Josh, let's talk about episode 1 a little bit because we weren't here last week. So once you did, Chloe, catch up and watch episode 1, how'd you feel about episode 1 before we get to episode 2?
I think we should spend more time on episode 1 than episode 2. I'm gonna just say that.
All
I'm
right.
gonna say that for that's my opinion so far because episode 1 reminded me of why I like Game of Thrones. Like it went down episode 1. Like episode 1, I was like, wait, that's his brother, sister, daughter, son. Like they
Oh my god.
it was. I forgot that they were brother and sister and that they had kids
Helena and
together.
Aegon. Yes.
I forgot that they had children together.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And so when Rhaenyra was like, I want a son for a son, I was like, yeah, take anybody because a son for a son.
Oh, so you were okay with that? What happened?
Heck yeah, I was okay with that. I mean, what did they expect was going to happen? My thing. This is Game of Thrones. Like,
Right.
you kill her son, your son kill her son. What do you think's gonna happen? And they was too lax in the kingdom. Like they weren't even really looking around at, oh, the dragon's gonna come. Like, why would she come with her dragon? It just, the episode 1 gave what it was supposed to give. It gave action, it gave suspense, it gave a oh snap moment, like oh snap, that really happened. It was gruesome, gory, it was sad. It was like, holy moly, did that just happen? Was she in there with the with Sir Christian while her grandchild
Cole, yeah,
was getting sliced and diced?
And she was riding a pony while he was getting sliced and diced.
And he over there, you know, with his white coat on, like he left his post when he wasn't supposed to. Yeah. He was supposed to be posting and he wasn't. So I mean, I felt like the episode 1 just gave me every single thing I needed out of the episode. Episode 2, we'll talk about that later. But episode 1, it gave what it was supposed to give. Every single part.
Josh, let me get you in here. You know, talk about how you felt after season 1 and then episode 1 of season 2.
Yeah, season 1 was crazy, so I was definitely excited about season 2. I guess I wasn't too hyped because, you know, that had made us wait anyway. They, you know, pushing it back and all that. So I came in very reserved, but after episode 1, I was like, wow, this is where we're going. So it begins. And I always remember what you said, because since you read the books, that this lasted about 25 years. I was like, oh my gosh, how are you going to do all this? If this is how it started.
Yeah, so did you agree with Chloe about how they took back revenge, or did you agree with, you know, does it matter either way? As far as killing,
I mean, it was an inevitability. I agree with that. I mean, even Otto says to, you know, Allison, you know, it doesn't, you know, as long as you go forward, just know that it's only going to be violent. The time for, you know, peace has already passed. So we already knew what time it was.
That's my brother Eric, stuff like that. Like I said. Yeah, I mean, of course, I know. I see what you said, Chloe. Of course, I know that. You know what's going to happen with the blood and cheese story, obviously, and they went in there. Now they did change it for the books to make it less gory, which is cool. But Chloe, how about the fact that she pointed to the son and said, like, "Okay, here's my son," and stuff like that? Do you feel like she just liked the daughter more, or you feel like she just had no choice at that point, Chloe? Last episode.
She is a dream seeker, and she has clairvoyant abilities, so she already knew what was going to go down. And so, like, I watched a lot of fan theory and breakdowns, and they basically was like, people who can see into the future, they're not necessarily sure if their premonitions are happening in the moment, or if she's dreaming, or if it's real. And so, because she's very sensitive to premonitions, she saw this happening already. That's alluded to by when she was in the bedroom, and she mentioned, you know, what if the boy doesn't want to be king? Like, and then she said something like she's afraid of the rats.
Right.
So she already knew what was happening. And it's so funny to me how nobody ever listens to her.
I know.
She's been given all the if the mother was smart and the king was smart, King Aegon II was smart, they be listening to her because she could tell the future of everything. Mm-hmm. But nobody pays her any mind, and she's the only person in that family that I feel bad for.
Yeah.
The only one, because she literally is just like trying to just drop gems, and they just look at her like she crazy. And then she's the one who has to kind of deal with the fact that her son was slain. She saw it coming.
Yeah, she really
Um,
did because the
mhm.
she was knitting the blanket last week for her son, and now this week she gave it to Allison to gift, for the son for the
For the
funeral he had.
funeral.
So she knew it was coming, at this point. But yeah, Helena probably is the only innocent person, probably the whole Targaryen, honestly, out of all of them. I feel like
Really?
everybody's innocent. Who else innocent? You feel like out of the Targaryen family?
I feel like Rhaenyra family innocent. Like they didn't really do nothing. All her sons didn't do anything.
I mean, okay, not yet, but
Rhaenyra, well, not you. See, and that's another thing. They said the people who read the book, they said this in the book. It's very hard to discern who's the good side and who's the bad side.
correct. Yeah,
But in this series,
it's easy. Yeah, they make it
it's
seem like
super easy, and that's what
right.
people were complaining about. And it's like maybe
Yeah.
we'll see next season how bad they are. But I mean, I'm team Rhaenyra. I'm team Damon. I'm team.
Well, honestly, I'll get you in a second, Josh.
Uh,
Honestly, this moment when they killed the child was supposed to make you go more towards the greens and not the blacks. But you like, nah, they deserve it. So it
child
depends
for
on
a child.
right. So it depends on your, perspective and stuff like that. In that situation. But I can see what some people might have said. You know what? They killed the kid. That's a baby or whatever like that. That's bad. But I was always team black from the beginning. I don't like Aegon, Aemon. Even though I think Aemon's, I like Aemon, but I don't like Aemon. You know what I mean? It's like it's weird
And
with Aemon.
they said I was watching one of the shows, and they was like, "Well, people's gonna grow up to be a jerk anyway." And I was like, you know,
Yeah. So let's get into the fallout from that. From this episode 2. So we do see, they found out Aegon's going crazy, tearing down his dad model. He took 30 years to build and stuff like that. We see the castle going crazy, trying to find out who did it. And then they go inside the small council room. Everybody got their opinions. And I'm coming to you, Josh, about this. And then, he wants to go directly to war. Of course, his granddad, Otto, wants to try to do something different and use the baby to elicit grief from the city and the other houses to go against right there. How you felt about, Otto's strategy there and how Aegon was feeling, Josh?
Absolutely love Otto's strategy because this is like the mastermind behind the kingdom, but you also have to view things through the indoctrination lens that you give to the public. So as he was discussing with the strategy, okay, let's use this against her to make Rhaenyra the villain. So I thought that was very clever. And we'll see it later that that's a strategy that Rhaenyra wouldn't be interested in following for that reason. So I thought that was very clever, and it did remind me of Joffrey a little bit with Aegon, for sure, and but completely understandable. Like I think everyone, their natural reaction in that situation is probably to respond how he did, or even to be fair to Damon, to respond how Damon did. To be fair, so I get that. So I also get the concept eye for an eye, but this entire scene, the aftermath that you're speaking of, I only have one thing to say about that.
Shame. Shame. Shame.
Yo, Sir Christian Corny Cole, man. Are you kidding me? Like, are you serious? So not only did you, have other priorities besides your job, but then you took all that out on the other twin who showed his loyalty by actually going against his twin. So I was thinking about the similarities of the acolyte, of course, but I just thought it was interesting that you decided to, take out all your frustration on him, who, is loyal, but it's just like you got to be seen as doing something. So I thought that was corny. I thought again, Allison on her moral high horse in public. Again, I'm like, yo, you got to be kidding me. This is ridiculous. So that's why I agree with what Chloe was saying, because I'm like, hey, this is the Game of Thrones. You either live or you die.
I'm So Chloe, yeah, I mean, I agree with a lot of what Josh said there. Allison and Sir Kristen Kohler, they piss me off because I like that, Josh. Yeah, because they both want to be this religious, moral person, but they stay smashing all the time. stuff like that. So it's crazy. Now Allison is because of her faith, because she's from Old Town or whatever. But Sir Kristen Cole, when you become a white coat, a guard, you take an oath to be celibate. So he's messing up all over the place, and then he's also incompetent because he's the leader of the whole Kingsguard. And why you got nobody on Helena Door at night, even if you're not there? So, you know.
I'm sorry, Big Mike. One other point, real quick. The fact that you chewed out the twin for guarding the king, huh? Who gets in trouble for that? That's outrageous. That's why I'm like, is no one listening to Christian Cole? Like Aegon, I know you mad. Are you listening? Otto, well, Otto knows what's going on. He always knows. But I'm like, is anyone else listening to this BS? It's ridiculous.
Well, his delegation skills are bad too, like I said. Because how you feeling about? We'll skip a little bit around the whole Kristen Cole and Allison factor there, Chloe. So.
I will say that it is a interesting dynamic, but it's definitely a real one. Like, it's people that do that every day. People that, are in these positions where they have this moral standing or high ground, and they use that as a crutch to do very heinous things, or things that are like opposite of what they represent or what they stand for. So for me, I was just like, oh, this is the realest aspect of the show here. You got this guy who's, pretending to be all power, like, I'm wearing this white cloak and I have this uniform of chastity and I'm this person. And we see that every day. We see that every day, from a very large scale, to people in power who have a certain view or a certain persona, and then things come out. Like, look at Diddy, right? Okay. Then we got people who are on smaller scale, maybe somebody that going to church every Sunday, but be the main one doing the worst stuff, or sleeping with the pastor, or cheating on their spouse, or doing drugs, or doing whatever they claim they're not doing. And so for me watching it, it was just like, dag, that's kind of real. Like, I just paralleled that to people that I've seen have this moral compass. And then it's like, when you really see who they are, you like, dag. And what you notice about these type of people is they have to overcompensate so that people don't notice, right? And when they overcompensate, people who are unaware will be fooled by the masquerade. As per her son, Aegon, he made him the hand. Now, what I'm interested to know, and what I can't wait to see, is when he finds out that he's smashing his mom, and he was smashing his mom when his son was killed. Because I feel like the guy with the limp, what's his name? You gotta unmute yourself.
Lars.
Yeah, Lars. You could stay unmuted while I'm on. I think it's no echo. I don't hear it.
Okay.
So Lars, I think he's gonna spill the beans on Kristen Cole in a couple more episodes. He's gonna be like, oh, you made him the hand? Because you remember he was trying to be the hand. So I think he's trying to, like, he's showing his loyalty. He got the rat for him, the rat catcher. I think he's going to keep doing things that show his loyalty down the road. And then eventually he's going to tell him, like, yo, he's smashing your mom. And he's kind of pissed because, him and her mom had a little foot thing going on.
Yeah. So he's jealous of that part.
And he's jealous of that.
Yeah. And she knows, because last episode he got her some new maids and she's scared to, like, let them wash her up and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So he knows that she knows. With Allison, and both of them really, to me it's a lot of hypocritical, because remember, she was mad at Rhaenyra last season because she was smashing Kristen Cole, and now she's doing the same thing. And I think Kristen, low key, he still want Rhaenyra, so I feel like that's another problem or whatever. I feel like he's still kind of jealous that Daemon got her or whatever like that, and he ain't get her. So that's gonna all come to a head, at some particular point. But to Josh's point, moving around the episode, the whole thing with him in the white coat and sending Sir Arik, I felt like that was abuse of power. Obviously, he was kind of like deflecting, and again, he wanted him to go take Rhaenyra out because, again, it's his hatred for Rhaenyra because she didn't choose him. he wanted her to run off and sell oranges last season with her, and she was like, "Bro, I'm a queen. Why would I go to sell fruit with you?" But anyway, yeah. So we see that he does. I guess guilt him into that, Josh, and to take that particular role and do it by itself, which then starts when Otto finds out. He goes off on Aegon, and how you felt about Otto's reaction to everything Aegon was doing at that point, Josh? I'll be myself.
So obviously, I would think most of us kind of think like Otto in that moment, like, you fool, you idiot, what are you doing? But you know what? I think the Hand of the King was either taking liberties or he knew that that was going to be his last conversation, being the Hand of the King, because there's no way you can say all those things to any king and still be the hand. The only way that you're allowed to do that is because you're the grandfather and you have all the wisdom. You were hands for many kings. Totally get that. But in this moment, and it kind of happened right under your noses, and you're supposed to be the person with all the spider webs of influence. You're supposed to see this before it even happens. Excuse me. And you're supposed to retaliate before it even happens. So yeah, I thought it was interesting that he did tell him, to use the expression, he definitely read Aegon, so in a very accurate way. However, I think that it was interesting to finally see Otto lose control, because he's the most composed person in the entire script, with all due respect to anyone else. So it was interesting to see him lose control. And then when he finally lost that control, he also lost control of being the Hand of the King. So I thought that was a very poetic scene.
So you felt like when Otto was kind of going off on him, he knew at that point this is probably gonna be my last duty as Hand of the King. So I'm just telling him everything how I feel.
Oh, absolutely. And let me ask both of you, if either one of you go in and talk to your boss that way, are you expecting to have a job afterwards?
No, not at all. So I mean, but yeah, I mean, I definitely see what you're saying there. But it started out about him hanging the rat catchers, and that was a great scene to me because Aegon was like, "Listen, I got him though. I don't know which one it was, but I'm sure I got him now." So I thought it was pretty funny. But and then about them, sending the twin, and Otto just being fed up at this point. So Chloe, how you felt about that scene and Otto's reaction with his grandson there?
Well, that's his grandson, so he's invested emotionally. But it was funny how he didn't show emotion when the kid got killed, his great grandson, right? But he showed emotion when his grandson was messing up all the plans that he had been put in motion for the past 30 years, and that is what actually caused him to kind of lose control. So if he would have showed the same amount of emotion, if he was really like strategic, he would have shown more emotion when Aegon II lost his kid, I think, and that would have solidified his position as hand of the king. And he could have done that in so many different ways. He could have pretended. So for me, it was just very interesting how he wasn't able to compose himself, and he had all the tools to do so.
I think Aegon's tired. I mean, not Aegon, I'm sorry. I think Otto's tired. But not just tired of Aegon. He's been the hand of three kings. This is the third king he's been the hand to. He's been doing this a while. And when you the hand, you don't really have the power, but you give the advice, kind of like, whatever, presidential advisor. I feel like he's just tired. He's like, no, I'm going back home. I just can't. Even when Allison was like, I have said, he was like, I don't even want to hear it. Like, I'm just done at this point.
I don't think he's tired. I think that he understands the consequences of the actions that he put into play, and now he don't want to be there to see it play out.
I mean, yeah, he'll want to be there, but also he embarrassed. Like he said, I'm not gonna be. I can't be in the council room. I'm no longer hand. We're gonna be changing diapers to the grandkids. He out. You know what I mean? So I get that. How you feel about Josh, the choice of Sir Kristen Cole as the hand from a strategic standpoint or war standpoint?
Congratulations, you played yourself.
That's ridiculous. So like, what are you thinking? Like again, I thought it was going to be Lars because he broached the subject, but I think that's why I aligned my thinking with Otto, because even in that moment, when the obvious choice to replace you was the person who put the idea in your head, but you're so stupid that you choose Sir Christian Cole. So I thought that's it was a great moment for to illustrate the frustration of Otto. Because again, to your point, both of your points, if you've been the hand of multiple kings and kings who have more wisdom and more years beyond this little rugrat, this little brat, this little entitled twerp, nah, I don't have the patience for that. That's how I looked at it for Otto.
Chloe, let me ask you before we move on to the other house. They also saw Aemon, and he was in his brothel in a fetal position with this lady of the night, let's call her, and talking about how he did regret, I guess his dragon eating Luke and stuff, but he also noted they came to kill him, and that he feels more respected by Damon because they was really coming to kill him. How you feel about Aemon and him going through that scene in that brothel? Yeah.
Well, it proves that how bad his mother is. Like, he was with that old lady. She's the one he lost his virginity to last season.
Yeah.
And so, like, it just shows that Allison's a horrible mother. She just sucks at being a mom. And, like, she got her son. She can't control him. She got one son in a brothel being, like, a baby to this, like, woman of the night. I mean, I could tell that he didn't mean for him to kill his little cousin or his nephew. But I don't know. I think the scene spoke for itself. Like, I think it shows him how he's going to eventually rise to power. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Aegon the second gets killed and then he's the night. Oh no, would he be next in line?
He would be.
Apparently, there's another brother. There's another brother
is.
though.
It always was. Yeah, Darren. Yeah,
And that's where Hightower went.
in Old Town, where they're from. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think that it kind of put a little battery in his back. Like, I got the biggest dragon, you know. And now my uncle's afraid of me. So now I'm about to be the king. So
yeah, I don't want to spoil it, show, but you're onto something. I'll put it like that because try to keep this like not spoiling the future. As I said it for the barbershop talk when I go over there. Let's move on to the other house because when they tell Rhaenyra about Jaehaerys getting killed, she was devastated, and then they all look at her like, "Well, you did it," and she's like, "I didn't do it," and then the people her council was like, "Yeah, you did it." And so basically, she had a fight with one of her people in the council about it, and then she figured out it was Daemon, and then they have this back and forth, like they've been holding on to it for years, about each other. How Daemon still wants to be the king, how he don't really respect her as the queen, and his own ambition. So, Chloe, let me back to Chloe for a second. How you felt about that and her and Daemon going back and forth in that scene?
she delusional. Number one, like, I just don't understand. What she came in there, the very first scene in the first episode was, "I want a son for a son."
Yeah.
Right? And then so it's like you already know what happens. And the thing about it is, like, I feel like Daemon, he is her ride or die, and she just don't understand it. Like, he does everything she asks him to do, and she just spoiled. She's a spoiled brat in that sense. Like, you're grown, you want to be a queen, but then you give out these orders, and then now you're upset that that happened because that wasn't what you wanted to happen, but you know that was a consequence. So she should have known that could be a consequence. Like, she got her own son killed. If we want to be real about it, like, she didn't have to send her son there on her little tiny son on Dragonback to do that, handle that he couldn't really handle. So for me, it's like she didn't take responsibility for her son dying. She didn't take responsibility for killing their grandson. What would that be to her? Her brother. That's her little brother.
No, that would be her
her nephew.
Yeah, her nephew. Yeah, because Aegon's her brother.
So. Yeah. So I don't know. I think that's the only part that I'm like, yo, she tripping.
All right, Josh, how you felt about Well, first of all, the council questioning her, and then they're back and forth and stuff.
Oh yeah, I thought this moment was always going to happen. I'm just surprised it didn't happen last season. But I agree with everything that Rhaenyra said. I agree with everything Damon said, because ultimately, if Damon was more, let's say, mentally and emotionally balanced, then he would have been the obvious successor to Viserys. And to a degree, I do believe that both one, Rhaenyra was the right decision because of Damon's mindset, as we see by the whole at the end of the last episode. But at the same time, I do think, knowing how brothers can be, right? I do think that Viserys made Rhaenyra the next in line, also to put a battery in Damon's back, like, get your shit together, bro, and it can all be yours, because all those things can always be changed. Ultimately, he would apologize to Rhaenyra, kind of like how Jerry Buss always did to Jeannie Buss. Like, I'm gonna let your brothers do it, but really, she was the better person to run the organization. So similar like that. So those are the parallels I saw. Also, even though I'm not a fan of the show that y'all love, The Boys, I mean, how could you not make the parallel with Homelander? Aemon was having his Homelander moment. That was hilarious.
In the fetal position. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. So Josh, what you saying? Like, so do you think? And I'll bring it to Chloe too. That he can ever truly see her as his queen, because he still wants the throne himself, basically.
Nah, he's no Jon Snow. I'll say it like that.
What you think, Chloe?
Maybe I'm a sucker for love. I think that he can eventually give it up. I think that if he was smart, he realized that once that's his wife, right? So like, he literally could just tell her what to do in bed, like while they sleeping together. Like, for me, I feel like he's trying to do it this aggressive way, and all he has to do. But then again, I don't think he's being that aggressive. He's carried out everything that she's asked, and so I think him leaving means that he's going to show her how much she needs him. Like, oh, you don't want me here? All right, peace. Like a relationship. Like, okay, I guess you could do it by yourself. And as soon as he left, what happened? If he was there, none of that would have went down. He'd have been in the room with her and their kids. The guy would have got killed because he's ruthless. Like, it would have never been no chance. But she needs to realize that she's food without him. He's always taking care of her. Not in the way that she I don't know. I feel like everything he's asked of her, everything she's asked of him, he's done.
But I feel like that his ego won't allow, like, him to just be, the male queen, basically, kind of like if she's the queen. Well, go
But
ahead,
he has this whole season. He's been doing. Even last season, he said, "You're my queen." He told her, he said, "I put the crown on your head."
Yeah,
If
but he
his
making
ego,
moves behind her. But he making moves behind her back, like
what move he made behind her back?
To kill the little boy last week.
No, she said to everybody in front of everybody in the council, and then told him they bumped their heads together, and she said, "I want his head. I want him dead."
She wanted Aemon to want the eye patch dude.
Guess what? That's who he told them to get, according to the show.
That is.
And guess what? If you put a hit on somebody, you should know that it's a chance that person not going to get hit. Somebody else going to get hit.
Yeah, I want to read what Josh said, even though he's right here. But just like when parents don't want to take orders from their kids, Damon is her uncle first. And that, too, I think he see her as a child still sometimes. That's a good point, Josh.
I get that, but at the same time, he still bent the knee.
He did,
If he was really, my whole thing is, if he was this whole egomaniac type of person, he would have never bent the knee. He would have just been like, bleep you, bleep you, bleep you. This is my kingdom. I deserve the hat. I'm going to do what I want to do. But he didn't do anything until she said to do it. Even the last season, was it last season? Yeah. He was going to like mobilize all these efforts and troops and stuff. He never actually did it. He was just preparing to shoot the gun. He was loading it up with bullets.
Right.
And when she said stop, he stopped. So don't get mad when you tell your you know what's so funny? You just made me think about this. It's such a good parallel. So Aegon, I mean, what's the dude name? The
Damon?
the one eye dude.
Aemon.
Aemon,
Yeah.
he was trying to flex with his dragon and made a mistake and killed his little cousin.
Mm-hmm.
She trying to flex like, you better go with her dragon, her husband, go kill him. I want his head, and mistakenly killed a little boy. So they did the same thing.
Yeah, this well, if you were noticing as the seasons go along, this whole war that's about to happen, which basically is the start of the end of the Targaryen dynasty, it could have been avoided. But there's a lot of mistakes and a lot of things. And I was talking to Jazz about it the other day, Josh, how like, right now, as we saw, there's 25 dragons, that they have. And then we see with Game of Thrones, there's no dragon except for Daenerys 3 to hatch eventually. And that's because they destroyed each other. So they made their family a lesser power, like by fighting over the throne, which is like, it's crazy to think about. They don't know down the line, obviously, but it's crazy how you had like, this family for hundreds of years in power, and by you just like if I'm another family right now, like the Starks or Tyrells, I'm like, yeah, let them fight each other, let them kill each other dragons, because once they got no dragons, what they gonna do? So it's just something to think about on that situation. But Corlys Valerian. So we see he had a small part this episode, but we do see him and Rhaenys in bed talking about Daemon and how she believes that that Daemon will always want the throne. But nevertheless, speaking of him, the Adam and Alan of Hall, that's the other black people in the show. I know we got get some black people in here, but the bald dude and his brother telling him you need to go with Corlys and make some money. He telling him no, I want to stay home and eat goat soup. I don't want to get caught up in this war and stuff like that. These two gonna play an integral part later on down the line. But Josh, do you know what's gonna happen with them, or do you have any idea? What's your thoughts on that? Or if you know what you know.
It seems like they're setting up something with Alan and Sir Corlys.
Alan and Adam, but the two brothers.
Yeah, Alan the bald one, right?
Alan's the bald one, yeah.
And the Rhaenys' husband.
Well, Rhaenys' husband is Corlys.
That's what I'm saying. So
yeah.
Alan and Corlys. I'm seeing that they're setting something up between them two, either like some type of bromance or something where they're going to he's going to make him the leader of his ship and all that, and he can increase his status, but it seems like he doesn't want to come off like that, which is interesting. So to me, makes me feel like either you're a spy or you're just like humble to a fault. So I thought that was an interesting dynamic with them.
Yeah, I wish I could tell y'all. I'm gonna tell you a post show. Chloe, let me get you in here back on this house. So we also see.
Wait, can I make a comment on that?
Oh yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. Yeah.
So what I saw was when the other brother came with the dreads, Adam. I was like, oh, he got dreads. That looked familiar. And the other dude was like, he owe us. And that sounds like to me that they might be his sons.
There you go.
Because how you going? Like he was like, no, I don't want nothing to do with it. And he like, no, he owe us. Like you better go get that money.
Yeah,
and he like,
they are Corlys bastards, both of them. Because he was out in the seas doing his sea life thing, and he had a few bastards, but there are two of them right there, and they know, but Corlys don't know. So
and that's probably why the dude bald, because he don't want his gray hair to be growing out, like the other son that faked his death. He shaved his head.
Lenore, yeah, that was his dragon. We saw flying over the other one too.
That was his dragon.
Yeah, Sea Smoke from last season, the great one. Yeah. He don't have it no more and stuff like that. So nobody was on the dragon. It's Sea Smoke by itself right now. So
he's just chilling.
He's just chilling. Yeah, we gotta get somebody to tame it. Yeah, those are Corlys bastards. They will play a big role though in this war later on. And speaking of more black kids, the Bayla, she was talking this episode. She don't normally say nothing, but they gave her some lines, and she was shooting a little bow and arrow and talking about how like she hates her father, and she being sent off to King's Landing to fly over top to spy on the things. How you feeling about that, Chloe? They sent her off over there. That's the
Then they not learning a lesson with the first kid. Like I wouldn't be sending my kids nowhere. Like you're not gonna be. And then the thing about it is she sent his kid over there. That ain't even her kid.
nah, the family kid. Yeah.
So expendable. Okay.
Oh my god.
Like that's how I saw it.
Because her son did say, "Can I go?" She was like, "No," and then she said Baylor instead. Or not. So
Like yeah, let's expend your kids so that we can get rid of them and their claim to the throne too.
oh Lord. One last thing, couple things. The White Worm, which was the girl that did give Damon the information about blood and cheese, and we see she's locked up. At first, Rhaenyra doesn't want to let her out. Like, I don't know about your agreement with Damon, and then she does decide to give her grief and let her out. But that proves to be great for Rhaenyra because she spots Sir Arik, and then when they get inside the throne, I'm guessing that she warns somebody because then Sir Eric comes in and they have this duel, and then he kills his brother and then decides to kill himself. So, Josh, how you feel about the White Worm and her role here, and also the twin battle? I guess let's say.
Yeah, it's interesting that the White Worm is trying to make herself appear as least valuable as possible when her entire career is doing the opposite. So I thought that was interesting. So again, it makes me think that either you're a spy or you have ulterior motives, not necessarily looking for absolution. I think that was just a ploy in my perspective. And then the twins battling shades of the Clegane Bowl a little bit, considering who you're fighting for, who you're fighting against, a little bit, a little bit of rhyming there from George R. Martin. But I also appreciate and respect the honor of he had the fall in his sword literally after killing his kindred spirit and twin. So I thought that was very honorable and noble, and it showed he was actually the more noble brother from my perspective, and followed the right house, in my opinion.
Yeah, like it showed the battle itself because he even said when the other brother was winning and when Arik was winning, he was like, I still love you, brother." But so it's like it was weird to me because they're like killing each other, but they love each other. So it's like their loyalty to the different blacks and greens is like worth their lives. So I found it very interesting. How about you, Chloe, with the two twins and stuff battling?
I mean, I felt like how can I say this? It was I guess what's his name? Sir Christian. It wasn't a horrible idea.
No, it wasn't a hard one. I mean, he got close.
He got close. I mean, it was bad. It was a bad idea, but it wasn't a horrible idea, and he would have got away with it if it wasn't for those.
The White Worm. I think.
Yeah, the White Worm. But I don't know. I guess they could. They had no choice. They had no choice but to do that, right? But I mean, for me, I don't think I would have killed myself if my brother tried to kill me. I would just be like, I'm alive. Like, what are we doing next? But I guess that speaks to how they were loyal to their cloak. But I mean, does it really matter at the end of the day? Like my thing is, if they were really loyal to the families, he wouldn't have killed himself.
Well, I think that was more about his brother. Like he killed his own brother, so he can't want to live no more. That's what I felt like. I mean, possibly, I'm not sure, but.
Well, he always knew that was going to might happen if they went to different houses.
That's what I was thinking too. Yeah, so that kind of
like.
threw me off a little bit. Yeah.
So I mean, I know the book they die differently, but
they still fight each other.
That was still silly to me.
They still die fighting each other, but they just don't die. He just don't kill himself in the book, but they still both fight each other to the death, basically, and they both die.
Well, I would have liked that better than him, like killing himself.
Really? Okay, Gotcha.
Because that was stupid to me. Like you just survived that whole fight to kill yourself. What's the point of surviving? You should have just died.
So we ended one more time with Josh's favorite character, so Kristen Cole, back in bed with Alicent one more time after her dad's leaving. And then we see her go to her son's room. He's crying about his dead son. And she's like, I can't help you. And then she leave and decide to go, smash Kristen again. So just to end off the episode, how y'all felt about it? You want to rate it 1 through 10, and what do you expect to see next? Let me go with Chloe on that. What are some of your predictions? I'll say.
So I'm gonna rate the first episode a 10,
Okay.
and the second episode like a 7.
Okay.
Like it didn't give. I was just like, okay, like I was expecting. I think they set the bar too high for the first episode, and I know that all the episodes can't be amazing, but I feel like this was just like a filler episode. Like there were things in this episode that happened that could have been, I think, shorter and put into a better episode.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't think I needed to see as much as I saw because it was a little boring for me. I think it could have been put into another episode with like more action. But yeah, it's a strong 7 for me. Like it kept the story going, but after it ended, I was like, that's it. Like how we go from last week to this. That's how I felt.
Yeah, I'll give you my thoughts in a second. Josh, how you feeling? And any predictions moving forward?
Yeah, I give the first episode a 9, and I give the second episode a 10. Excuse me, a second episode a 8. And I would say both are quintessential Game of Thrones. Both of these episodes, in my opinion, because we rarely actually get to see the aftermath of things that we only heard about previously in Game of Thrones. So we actually got to witness it and then also witness the aftermath. So I thought that was unique and cool and a cool experience. So I like that. That's why I gave it a 8. Because again, every show can't be, all action. You got to have some complex character moments and really shape that character arc for all these characters, because all of them are going to play a major part for the rest of the season and the rest of the series. So at the end of the day, it's a marathon, not a sprint, which is why I'm looking at it more macro as opposed to micro. That's why I'm definitely giving a 9 and an 8 for the first two.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with a 10 for Chloe. I mean, like Chloe said on episode 1, and probably I go down to an 8 for episode 2. But I wasn't disappointed. I think I want to say this. Like, I feel like that these episodes remind me of Game of Thrones season 1 through 4, because if you go back, like a lot wasn't happening on the first 4 seasons, but it was a lot of political talk and political thought. A lot of people walking in the forest and blah blah blah. I think at the end of Game of Thrones, stuff got sped up so fast. Like they were going from King's Landing to Winterfell in like one episode when it used to take like a whole season. So I feel like we got spoiled by that. And then last season on House of the Dragon, because they had to go through the years so fast, a lot happened every episode for that too, to build it. But now we got grown Rhaenyra, grown Alicent, so it won't be that. Well, now it'll probably be more, but it had to build up to more action. So, but I love the political back and forth and the dialogue, and also HBO, man, they got the best cameras out. Their cinematography is just great. It's always movie quality to me. Like, even though like, Disney is good because it's Disney, they got money, but HBO shows look better to me. I don't know why. So, and so I'm gonna go with that. I'm feeling this season. I'm looking forward to more down the line. I don't know. I mean, I did read the books, but I don't know how much they're going to show this season as opposed to next season and stuff like that. There's more characters still yet to be introduced. There's some you met who are already going to play an important role. So I think that's a part of it. And hold on, they cut his head off. 10. Oh, they cut his head off episode 9, season 1, actually. And you're talking about season 1 this episode. Oh yeah, it was 10. And then Josh, you're right about HBO there. Yeah. So anyway, and then I don't know if you know Josh, but they got the other series they're working on, the Duncan Egg series, Night of the Seven Kingdoms. So I like the fact that Game of Thrones started like at the end basically, and we're getting the history of it. Because even the castle, the King's Landing, it looks different on the inside because Targaryens were there with all their dragons alive than when we saw Game of Thrones, and they were all just like bones and stuff like that. So I like that too. But anyway, thank you guys for watching, bro. Thank you for checking it out. E should be back next week. Cross our fingers. Thank you, Josh. Thank you, Chloe. We'll be back on Wednesday to discuss episode 4 and 5 of The Acolyte. And for Josh and for Chloe, and you guys again, and we out. Peace.
Peace.